8 animals you didn't know came back from extinction. Extinction is a dead end. There's no coming back from it, or so they say, and Jurassic Park is disproving it. These animals we will be looking at survived apparent extinction and against all odds still live today, especially number 1. It can be considered the most ancient animal on this list, so you need to watch out for that. Before we proceed, if you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Here are 8 animals that came back from extinction. Number 8. The crested geckos. The crested geckos is a perfect example of an animal bouncing back from extinction. They are a member of the Diplodocus holiday family of geckos native to Australia, New Zealand and New Caledonia. They are among the largest gecko species and typically range from 6 to 10 inches in length, including 4 to 6 inches of tail length. Their most distinctive features are the hair-like projections found above the eyes, which greatly resemble eyelashes. Crested geckos also have 2 rows of spines that run from the sides of their wedge head to the base of their tail. And yes, they don't have eyelids, so they use their long tongues and moisten their eyes and remove debris. They are actually a very popular pet, mainly because of the way they look and how easy it is to take care of them. But it almost didn't go that way, as they were thought to be long extinct. That is, until they were rediscovered in 1994. When they were rediscovered, the trade of this animal was banned worldwide, but not before a couple of breeders in the US got a hold of some, and the rest, as they say, is history. Number 7. The gastric brooding frog. The southern gastric brooding frog was discovered in 1972 in the mountains of Queensland, Australia. Even though it was discovered in 1972, the world only took notice of it in 1974, when somebody discovered the quite repulsive way it reproduced. Simply, the mother frog converts their stomach into a womb. She then swallows her own eggs and stops making hydrochloric acid in her stomach to avoid digesting her own young in her womb. Around 20 to 25 tadpoles hatch inside her, and the mucus from their gills continues to keep the acid at bay. While the tadpoles continue to grow over the next 6 weeks, the mother never eats, so her stomach bloats so much that her lung collapses, forcing her to breathe through her own skin. That isn't the ultimate example of motherly love, is it? I don't know what it is, and I personally don't want to know. Eventually, though, she does give birth to her brood through propulsive vomiting and spewing them into the world as fully formed froglets. However, during the time when scientists wanted to fully study this amazing animal, they became extremely hard to find. The last specimen was seen in the wild in either 1979 or 1981, and despite extensive field surveys, none were ever found again. The last captive individual died in 1983, and the species were no more. Until a few years ago, of course, when Mike Archer and his team from the University of New South Wales were able to bring this once extinct creature back to life by using a process known as somatic cell nuclear transplantation. They deactivated the eggs from a related species and swapped the nuclei with that of a gastric brooding frog. To Mike and his team, thank you for your hard work. We look forward to seeing tiny vomiting frogs out in a while again. Number 6. The Bermuda petrel. Like the dodo, which is probably the poster child for extinct birds, the Bermuda petrel was an island-dwelling bird whose existence was threatened by man. When Christopher Columbus sailed the oceans, it's not that there were up to 1 million of the nocturnal seabirds on the then uninhabited Bermuda Islands, and the 1500s passing Spanish sailors and the rats and pigs they brought with them feasted freely on the birds and their eggs during their pit stops on the North Atlantic Islands. In the 1600s, just 20 years after British settlement on Bermuda, the Bermuda petrel was declared extinct. Almost 400 years later, in 1951, Bermuda teenager David Wingate was one of a party of naturalists who rediscovered 17 nestling pairs of the grey and white bird. They were clinging to life on Rocky, being let close to Bermuda's Castle Harbor. He became Bermuda's first conservation officer and worked tirelessly to support the petrel's re-establishment until his retirement. Now in his 80s, he still visits the seabirds. Number 5. South Island Takahe. The South Island Takahe is a flightless bird indigenous to New Zealand and the largest living member of the royal family. It was first encountered by Europeans in 1847, but the first ever recorded encounter with Takahe was in 1849. This is when a gang of Dusty Bay sailors found and followed the trail of a large and unknown bird. When pursued by their dogs, the bird ran with great speed and upon being captured, uttered loud screams and fought and struggled violently. 3 or 4 days later, they rose to rename the bird, declaring it delicious. Sure, being delicious seems to be the reason enough to cause extinction, as these birds were systematically hunted for their meat. After the final bird was captured in 1898 and no more were to be found, the species was presumed extinct. At least until 50 years later, living takahe were rediscovered in an expedition led by physician Geoffrey Oribo near Lake Tionel in the Murchison Mountains on the 20th of November 1948. The expedition started when footprints of an unknown bird were near Lake Tionel. Two takahe were found camped and returned to the wild after photos were taken of the rediscovered bird. The rediscovery of the takahe caused great public interest. The New Zealand government took immediate action by closing off a remote part of Fiordland National Park to prevent the birds from being boarded. Their population is now steadily climbing, but it is still a protected species. Number 4. The New Guinea Singing Dog. The New Guinea Highland wild dog has been driven to be the most ancient living wild dog. This species is thought to be the ancestors of domesticated dogs and has been feared to be extinct for more than 50 years. They are called singing dogs because of their love of howling, which probably didn't endear them to their neighbors. The species has been rediscovered in the floras and highlands of New Guinea and about 340,200 meters above sea level. In 2016, cameras documented the presence of at least 15 highland wild dogs, including males, females and cubs on Mount Punkak, Jaya. It seems that scientists had a hunch that these dogs were actually extinct even before the rediscovery. Between 2005 and 2012, there have been sightings of these species, but haven't been confirmed by solid evidence. According to scientists, the studies on these dogs give us a better and more detailed comprehension of these canines. Number 3. The Pygmy Tarsier. Indonesia's tiniest primate species, the Pygmy Tarsier, is about the size of a small mouse, weighing less than 2 ounces and measuring less than 4 inches from head to tail. While the tail accounts for most of its life, Pygmy tarsiers are about 75% the size of other tarsier species, and yet relative to their diminutive size, Mother Nature has been in Pygmy tarsiers with long limbs, and it's probably these limbs that also help them cling to life, despite apparent extinction. Gursky, Doyen of Texas A&M University, traveled into the mountains of Sulawesi Island in Indonesia to confirm that the Pygmy tarsier was unequivocally extinct, but ended up becoming the first person in more than 80 years to spot a live one. Many other scientific teams came before him, and all of them failed. It's currently unknown how many live specimens are out there in the wild, leading to their data deficient classification by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN. This means that not enough information is known in order for a better classification. That is why scientists are working diligently to find more of them to better protect them. Number 2. The Madagascar Serpent Eagle. Very rare and enigmatic, the Madagascar serpent eagle is a large rounder that is endemic to Madagascar. It occurs very locally in pristine eastern rainforest, where it hunts inside of the forest. They are among the world's most endangered raptors and was previously thought of as being extinct until their rediscovery. It was rediscovered by Russell Fruitstrup. On November 3, 1993, the scientist was walking through the dense forest of Madagascar's northeast coast when he spotted one of these presumably extinct birds the very first time in over 60 years. The discovery electrified biologists working to save Madagascar's wildlife. They estimate that the 900-mile-long island located in the Indian Ocean off Africa's southeast coast holds 5% of the world's living species. More than 150,000 of the nation's plants and animals, including the serpent eagle, exist nowhere else. Today, it is critically endangered. There are about 75 breeding pairs, and guesses go that there might be as many as 120. Number 1. The Caspian Horse. The Caspian horse holds the distinction of being both one of the oldest and one of the newest of horse breeds. Current archaeological evidence says that the Caspian dates back to at least 3000 BC, predating all the recognized breed horses. When the Persian Empire collapsed in 644 AD, its royal horse was lost for more than 1,000 years, until its rediscovery in 1965. It was the American Louis Farrell that rediscovered them. They were found by Farrell living around a remote village called Amal in a mountainous region near the Caspian Sea. This being their last refuge from extinction, they were in the Elbas Mountains at the southern edge of the Caspian, where locals would periodically catch them and breed them as workhorses. Small numbers of feral Caspians remain in remote areas near the Elbas Mountains of northern Iran. In Iran, a national Caspian stored farm of persicates established by Louis Farrell is maintained by the government. This once thought to be extinct creature is now considered a national treasure, and its future is looking brighter in its own country. Did we leave anything out? Let us know in the comment section down below, and to watch more videos about amazing animals, click on the subscription button below. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.